AV in your ears, that's Ambush Vid, giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my boy Steve, Fascination Street, you already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street. What do you...
This is Aaron Perino from The Sheila Divine, and you're listening to the Fascination Street podcast.
AV in your ears, that's Ambush Vid, giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my boy Steve, Fascination Street, you already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street. What do you...
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Imaad Wasif. Imaad is a singer-songwriter guitarist who has just released his 7th solo album. Super Consciousness came out mid-March of 2026. He also has played with other bands, most notably the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, for 20 years. That's a long time. In this episode, we talk about kind of where he grew up and what his musical influences were. It's not your typical musical stylings or influences, so we do a bit of a deep dive on that and how those inspirations came into his life. We talk about his experience growing up as sort of a fish out of water in the desert. He was a little bit of a unique kid growing up, and we talk about how some of that has influenced his music and his writing and his life, actually. We also talk about how he found rock music, because that's not where he started in listening to music, and what made him decide to become a musician. I ask him if I can play my favorite song off of his first album, which was 20 years ago, and that song is called Out in the Black, and he graciously agrees to let me play it, which is super dope. And then, later on, we juxtapose that with the song Weightless off of his new current album, Super Consciousness, available everywhere. And then we talk about what this record is about, who it's for, why he wrote it, how he wrote it, when he wrote it, all of the things. And lastly, we talk about how becoming a father has influenced his writing styles. You might be surprised at the answer. I was. Check out his newest album, Super Consciousness, available everywhere. It's on the Spotify's, it's on all the things. But you can also purchase it at Bandcamp. And you can check him out on Instagram as well. And this is my conversation with Imaad Wasif.
Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Imaad Wasif. What's up, dude?
How are you?
I cannot complain, my man. It is a lovely, beautiful day here in South Texas. Are you in LA right now? Outside of LA?
I'm in Los Angeles proper, yeah.
How is the weather there?
Today, it's beautiful. We just had like a pretty crazy hot spell for a couple of weeks, which was strange for this time of year.
What does a hot spell mean in Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah, it's nothing like Texas heat or desert heat, but it was in the mid-90s, so okay. That was weird for March, you know.
A few years ago, I was in LA and I was in an Uber. So I was going towards Santa Monica, but I was going like through Van Nuys or whatever. And it was peak traffic. So it was just a lot of sitting still on the freeway, right? Yeah. And just baking in the sun. The temperature difference between Van Nuys and Santa Monica was like 25 degrees. It was so crazy. It was so hot in Van Nuys. And then I got to Santa Monica and I needed a jacket. It was the wildest thing ever. Yeah. You guys have weird weather there.
No, I went to see this guitar player, Gwennifer Raymond, at McCabe's the other day when it was like 90 degrees where I was. And then it was the same thing. It was 67 over there.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the way I like to start this out is I like to start from the beginning. It helps us understand how the guests got from where they were to where they are. So where were you born and raised, man? Where'd you grow up?
Actually, I was born in Canada, in Vancouver. Moved away from there when I was 3 to remote area of the desert in California, around Palm Desert, Desert Hot Springs. At the time, definitely a little bit of a wasteland. It's since had like kind of a renaissance, is now kind of built up and is a vacation getaway, which blows my mind. But yeah, I grew up there at a time where it was strange being an Indian kid there, for sure. I think I was really aware of like misfit status from like an early age somehow.
Really?
Yeah. It was just a strange environment to grow up in, I think.
So was it real hippie?
No, not at all. Like, I mean, super conservative. I mean, the desert is typically a place where people go to die. There was like this period in the 40s and 50s, I think, where it was like a Hollywood kind of getaway. And then it had fallen to disrepair and just various types of economic destruction or whatever. And so like the desert that I grew up in was like, I mean, while there was some aspect of beauty that now I realize was there, it just felt like just completely like you were in like a stranger in a strange land,
Especially for you being an Indian kid, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So basically from the start, you have felt out of place like your whole life?
Yeah. I mean, I can remember this feeling from the time I was like 5, I was having like sort of imagined conversations with a god of some sort.
At 5?
Yeah. Well, there was the interesting thing. I have this song called God Is Not a Mountain. There was a mountain in the desert that someone had spray painted God on. And at that age, I actually thought that the mountain was God. We would constantly be driving by this thing. And so I thought this like kind of monolithic thing was God somehow. I didn't quite understand what the concept was. But actually, in fact, God is everything. We are all God in a sense in that we are one. And that's relating to this idea of, super consciousness with my record. I think the idea of awareness beyond ourselves.
So the idea of a subconscious is, like the part of ourselves that we don't even realize exists. It's sort of a smaller part of us, right? The inner part of us. And then the idea of a superconsciousness is the idea of everything around and including us, right?
Yeah, and beyond your ego. So it's really an awareness outside of self, I think. And I have to state that I'm not claiming to have achieved that in any way. I think in these times of insane darkness in the world, like I became preoccupied with the idea of how do we actually transmute this feeling and this darkness that we are all feeling. Like I know it, every conversation I have, everywhere I look, every person I talk to, it's like, these are really the most difficult times that I think that we've gone through, like since I've been alive.
We're roughly the same age, and I will agree with you.
Yeah.
About these difficult times. This is some of the craziest shit that's ever, these times.
Yeah. Yeah.
But before we get into all that.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's go back to that mountain. So yeah. God was spray painted on this mountain, and you would drive by it all the time and see this word God. Bro, how big were these letters?
Big. They were big.
Really? Like just massive?
Yeah. And they were in white, so they're on a brown mountain.
That's crazy. Is it still there?
No, that's not there. It's since been, I don't know what, just decayed or something.
Sandblasted, I'm sure. So you did go check to see if it was still there?
Yeah. I go down there occasionally. And so nice. It's not there.
Well, let's talk about your musical influences. You're born in Canada, but your parents are from India, both of them?
Yeah.
Do you know what took them to Canada? Why they left India?
They actually left the UK. They were living in the UK.
Okay.
They have a kind of interesting story in that my father's Muslim, my mother's Hindu. They were run out of India, actually, on threat of death, really.
For both of them?
I think so. Though, there's like, they keep it mysterious with me.
I would imagine.
I don't know the whole story, but
you're going to find out later that they're just like bank robbers and they just never told you.
I mean, I hope so. I can hope there's like a house in Hyderabad with like gold bullion like
in the walls.
Yeah, exactly. That would be amazing. I could fund my next 3 records off of that. But they left India and moved to London and lived in London for about 17 years.
Oh, wow.
I think my father, I don't really know why he moved to Canada, but I'm assuming it was just another outlaw kind of situation where he got run out of England.
I'm loving this idea of repainting your history that your parents are just these massive Bonnie and Clyde style outlaws that are just running from country to country.
Yeah. My parents were both artists and, weirdos, but their relationship was also very volatile. So I don't totally know. There actually may be some truth to this, on some level. But yeah, so they were living in Canada. Then I think my father got a job offer in the desert and decided to go down there. There's this whole relationship between Vancouver and the desert. It's like they call them snowbirds. So it's like in the summer when it's excruciatingly hot, the Canadians go back up to Canada and then they come down, when it gets really cold.
So they do that on the East Coast, but it's like the New York people and then the Florida people.
Yeah.
I haven't really heard that so much with international transitions. That's cool, though. I like that idea.
Yeah. I mean, at least that's what I used. There was a term snowbird, so I don't
Sure.
remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, they landed in the desert, and that was where sort of my formative experience of life started happening.
I wouldn't even say sort of. I would say you're absolute formative.
Yeah.
Just you and the God Mountain.
Me and the God Mountain, yeah.
So let's talk about your musical inspirations. Your parents, since they lived in the UK for 17 years,
Mm-hmm.
that to me sounds like they're maybe a little bit older.
They are.
My parents had us when they were under 20 because that's how we roll in South Texas.
Marfa-ish or South Texas?
I'm in San Antonio.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's pretty common. Like I made my parents grandparents when they were 34.
Oh,
Like
wow.
grandparents at 34. So that's how.
Yeah.
But to me, if your parents had this whole life and then after that you were born, my parents didn't really have a whole life before I was born. So they're kind of young. So it sounds like your parents might have been a little bit older, which means that the music that they were listening to would have been several decades prior to the music that your friends were listening to, right? And also from a whole different land.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of nails the whole situation that I felt like. I mean, I've always felt a distinct sort of lack of connection in a weird way to my father because of that, like because there was such a distance between not only the country that he grew up in, and the thing with the immigrant sort of mentality at that point was they didn't want to speak Urdu in the house, like they wanted me to speak English. And I've spoken to other people that come from immigrant families, and they all sort of universally experienced the same thing, that there was like more of an emphasis on trying to integrate into the West. My concept of the culture of India is very mutated, because it's like I was given certain aspects of it, but it wasn't really allowed, like I wasn't practicing all of this, or like really, it wasn't really brought into the house in the same way. My father's 98, by the way, now.
Your father's still alive?
Yeah, he is.
That is awesome. Good for him.
Yeah, I have a grandfather. I think 108 was the oldest one that I know of in his bloodline. Like,
Wow. You hear that, Streetwalkers? A lot of music is going to be coming from this dude. He's got a long time to keep making music.
I hope so. Yeah, so a lot of the music that I heard was Indian filmy music, but also, so there's this amazing thing. It's like when they came from London to Canada and then to the US, there was many trunks that were shipped. And my father had like a really huge record collection of his master's voice recordings of like East Indian classical music, Vilad Khan, Bismillah Khan, Ravi Shankar, the Degar brothers, like all of this really amazing music that I grew up listening to. I didn't actually listen to kind of Western music until kind of like 8, 9. I started kind of listening to radio. I have a really amazing memory about hearing Sugar Mountain by Neil Young. I was probably, I think like 8. And I had this Sears radio, and I woke up in the middle of the night really sick, and I turned on the radio and I heard Sugar Mountain on the radio, and I remembered that song for 20 years until I actually got into Neil Young. But it was like a really beautiful memory that I have of like a song like that carrying somewhere in the bank of my memory for years and years before I actually heard it again.
So it was that long before you heard it again?
Yeah, sorry. So that's not 20 years, but it's like 8 to like 19 or whatever.
That's wild.
Like rock and roll and all of that, like I didn't get into until high school. And that was through these stoners that took me under their wing. Because I was like going through school at a sort of accelerated rate. I was pushed. So I started high school early when I was young.
Yeah, like real young, right?
Yeah, like 11.
Mm.
So, no one would talk to me for the first 2 years. I was just like this little freak.
They were probably confused. Why is there children here?
Yeah.
Whose kid is this? See, in San Antonio, that would have been like a senior's kid.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Streetwalkers. Now, there's an official Fascination Street podcast Patreon. The episodes are just as deep, but a whole lot more fascinating. On the Fascination Street Patreon, we're keeping it simple. There is only one tier. No confusion, no levels, no upsells, just one way in. For $5 a month, you'll get every episode ad-free. No interruptions, no distractions, which gives you a more direct connection to the show. And also, there's a place to hang out with fellow streetwalkers and be part of the community on Patreon. If you love the stories, the conversations, and the vibe of Fascination Street Podcast, this is the best way to support it and get even more out of it. No tiers, no ads, just $5 and you're in. Welcome to the inner circle. $5, no ads, that's it. Patreon.com/Fascination Street Podcast.
Let's get back into it.
So your dad, he was am I saying this right? Ghazal? Well, he was a Ghazal singer?
Ghazal, yeah.
Ghazal.
But you
okay.
can say, yeah.
He was a Ghazal singer. And what does that mean exactly? Like, I know it's different and melodic, but in what ways? And did that inspire you at all in your singing?
Yes, I would never really cop to it, but I know that it does now. It's like, so the idea behind this is like there's a certain structure within that form, a poetic structure, like these couplets. It's always the same, but the thematic idea of it is pining, like a pining for love. That idea, that pathos, the idea of that was really put into my mind, I think, through hearing a lot of these songs. And also the modality of the Indian music, or the East Indian classical music, which is all drone, and drone is like basically the breath of life. And it's also all around us all the time. We're just constantly hearing these vibrations, whether or not we recognize them or not. It's interesting. All this music that I was hearing was really greatly influencing me, though it wasn't until I kind of found rock and roll that I was like, oh yeah, I want to play music.
So what was it that made you decide that you wanted to be a musician? Like, what was it that ignited that spark?
I think it was just getting handed these Zeppelin records.
From your stoner friends?
Yep. Because of my misfit feeling and feeling this sort of angst towards the world around me and also my family. I mean, this is a fairly typical idea for all teenagers, but I don't know. I had a preoccupation with trying to really express this feeling that I was having, which I think was a blessing and a curse. Like, I wasn't actually ready to do that. Like, I didn't know how to do that, but I knew that somehow that music was going to be the vehicle for me to be able to do that in the world. So I actually weirdly bought a John Fahey record at a garage sale.
It was on a compilation, or it was just John Fahey?
It was at a Tacoma Records compilation. Like, I just bought it because the cover was cool.
Dragons?
Yeah, the one with it's like Leo Kaki and Peter Lang, I think, is on it. But I was understanding when I was listening to these guitar players, like they would use all these detunings. And it was then that it kind of connected it to this Indian music that I was listening to when I was younger and that was in my mind. And so I became preoccupied with that, like trying to understand how to make my guitar kind of sound like those two things. And then, of course, your absorption of music expands so rapidly at that time. So it's like, The Cure was coming into my life, like Sabbath was coming into my life, all the SST records were coming into my life, like the early Sub Pop tapes were coming into my life, like everything. And I was just absorbing it all. And then I think really seeing Nirvana at the time prior to them really blowing up into the Nevermind phase was the catalyst for, wanting to be in a band, wanting to write my own music. There were all these generator parties in the desert, though, that I was going to at the time. So it's like Sons of Caius were around, my first band. I spent a summer, basically I locked myself in a room and taught myself how to play guitar, listening to all these records that I'd gotten, and came out of it and was asked to join this band, and we started playing these generator parties.
Is that Acid?
No, this was a band called Zao.
Zao, okay.
We never recorded anything or whatever. It was just a desert band, but it was a very interesting scene to be part of, like people driving out into the middle of nowhere, no phones, no guide, no map, and you just show up and there would be generators set up, people losing their minds on acid, and then Caius would be playing, my band would play, whatever random band would play, and there was just this sort of communing with each other, being totally out of our minds, out in the desert with just really the stars above us, and this kind of feeling of losing any sort of fear momentarily of like the world. I mean, I look back at those times now as like a really special and beautiful time.
It sounds awesome. It sounds like, I can't remember the name of it, but that huge festival that's in that desert now.
Coachella, yeah.
It sounds like that's what everybody is or was trying to achieve in Coachella. Now it's just a huge marketing thing, but
Corporate thing, yeah.
But before, like when it first started, it sounds like that's what everybody was going for, was that feeling that you just explained, that vibe, that, just you and the stars and a community that is all kind of going through the same thing, out of your head, but all together. That sounds rad as hell.
I mean, the community thing is something I've been thinking of a lot with this record. Like, I'm releasing this record myself on my own label.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much. And I've gotten possession of like all my past masters as well from like label.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for solo records, at least, because a lot of these deals were signed pre-streaming and all that. So it's like they were just in this sort of nebulous vacuum of like, I don't know where anything is. I was able to get all that stuff together under my own imprint.
That is amazing, by the way. Wow. That sounds like a lot of work. Good job.
It was a lot of work, but yeah, it's a really amazing feeling to know, because this is my contribution to the world, and I want to like feel that it's now kind of within my possession. And the way I was trying to relate this idea to community is that for so long now, we become derailed by this sort of corporate mentality that is like really destroying the intention of what the musician is really trying to do. You're not thinking about all this other stuff while you're creating, and then the minute your record is done, you're dealing with the optics of everything and having to cooperate with a system that was really constructed to see you fail in a weird way. Like you're getting absorbed by this like Spotify mentality or whatever, where you like feel inferior because you don't have enough streams, you don't have enough like blah blah blah, you don't have this. It's like creating this sort of competition idea all the time. It's like, that's not why we're fucking writing music. It's really tragic. And I'm hoping that system does indeed collapse. I've been reading that this is imminent, or this is going to be the future. And I see a lot of models popping up of like, these companies that are trying to start co-op models and everything, where the artist is sort of directly in control of their work again. And I hope it does go that way, because I personally miss that idea of being able to like hand someone a record. Like I sent my record out to like musicians I respect, like Lou Barlow, like Lee Ronaldo, Will Oldham. And to me, it was like, I want this community to be there. I want that feeling again of having that direct relationship with the people that are hearing the music, I just played this record release show for my album here in LA, and it was the most beautiful kind of cathartic experience. Like so many people came out that really I'm like connected to. And that to me felt so much more real than anything that I've really experienced in the last few years.
Interesting. Well, since you own basically your whole catalog of solo stuff, I want to talk about a song that you did 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
You did a song called Out in the Black.
Oh, yeah.
Now, to sci-fi nerds, in the black means like out in space.
Right.
That's what that is to science fiction nerds. What did you write Out in the Black about?
It is that, but it is the void of love. It is the feeling of being out in space, but it is being lost in love.
Okay, nice. Again, that was 20 years ago, and I was listening to that album earlier today, and I've been listening to Subconscious for a couple of days now, but I was really struck at a lot of artists in a span of 20 years and 7 albums. There's a real huge disconnect sometimes from the first to the most recent. And I don't feel that with your music. This is going to sound weird, but I don't feel like you have changed your intention from beginning to end, if that makes any sense. Like I still feel or hear and feel this sort of searching. To me, it just sounds like you're searching for that thing that was missing, and that thing has always been love. And even in super consciousness, it feels like you have maybe reframed what you're looking for a little bit, but it's still that thing that you're searching for. And now it just seems like it's on a bigger scale. Does that make any sense, what everything I just said? Yeah,
it does. I think that's been a major force in my life, but it's not so much that I'm speaking directly of myself. Like I think this is actually, I'm realizing that is what I sense in a lot of people, and I'm writing for those people, and my music is 100% for the unification of those people. And I know other people experience these pains, and I know that that is really like my purpose in songwriting for those people. But you're right. While I've expanded like the sort of sonic territory, from that first record to now, all these songs can be done. Like I can come and play them for you solo acoustic. For me, like I love that idea of being able to do a song potently when it's completely stripped back.
I love it. So it sounds like maybe in the beginning, these things kind of were about you being alone and kind of being the weird kid. But now you've sort of applied those same things in the sense of realizing that you're not alone in this search for everything. It seems like we're all kind of in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
This is a weird ask, but I'm going to ask it. That song, Out in the Black, it is a beautiful song. And it really sticks with you. Of all of the songs that I have listened to from your past, that one sticks out to me the most.
Thank you.
I don't know why it hangs with me, but it's just something about it feels like it's mine. It's in my pocket, like it needs to be with me. I was wondering if you're okay with me playing that song, Out in the Black, on this episode for everybody to kind of get a taste of your beginnings.
Please. Yeah, please. That's fine.
Would you be all right with that?
Yeah.
You want to intro it for me?
Sure. This is Out in the Black. It's recorded by Mark Nevers in Nashville, Tennessee, 2005, and it appeared on my first album, self-titled, Imaad Wasif.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I killed a love that I could see through. Out of my head, and I went too far. I never said that I could save you from the dark. I've been trying to maintain, but it's always in vain, and I'm already gone. Don't wanna cry for the dead things. Don't wanna open up the wounds that never heal. I found a space between for all those memories out in the black where they keep me company. I've been trying to maintain, but it's always in vain. Will the sun shine again when I'm gone?
Some of the songs from your album, The Voidist, which coincidentally is the name of your new record company. Again, congratulations. Some of the songs from your album, The Voidist, that time period, and some of the songs around then, sort of came to you almost as complete compositions from the universe. They just dropped into you like almost complete.
Yeah.
Has that sort of thing happened since? And do you think that you were tapped into something special back then?
That record was definitely the peak moment of that for me. There are a few songs that are actually like this song Razor Like that ends that record, which has, I hesitate to ever use the word epic, but like that song has such an arc to it. And it was a song that actually appeared to me while I was driving. And that's like one of the first times that had ever happened to me. But all of the sort of structural parts of it, like riffs and like the arc of the song came to me, and I like went home and immediately started recording it, at least a demo version. Yeah, I don't know. I think, that's that sort of fabled magic that occurs with it's like certain times in your songwriting when you're fully tapped into the channel, like you're open to it and you're receiving things and you don't know where they're coming from. That was a really amazing time period for me. And then, yeah, after that, my son was born and I went into a different phase of life. And by the time that I started wanting to, do another record, it was very difficult actually to come out of that phase. It was like I'd been in a cocoon.
It was difficult to come out of the phase where you were nesting and taking care of a kid.
Like I shut off that channel, like I basically because I became focused on this other very beautiful thing, but it closed me off from being like this sort of, for lack of a better word, like this vessel of divine.
A conduit.
Yeah. I remember that period of coming back out of it and having it be very difficult. That was like a time that I felt like a huge sense of loss.
So you felt like a loss. Was it a loss of that openness, that open channel?
Well, I shut down, I think, during that period of time too, because I don't really want to go into it, but I went through a really difficult period around that time, just before my son was born. And I recorded a record during that time called Great Eastern Sun that I ended up putting out that has that song, God Is Not a Mountain, on it. I ended up putting that record out 5 years later, but at the time it was like, I recorded it and I was like, no, this is too revealing. This is too dark. Like, I can't put this out.
Too personal?
Too personal. Really, that was like a full dealing with grief record. In the end, when I finally put it out, I could see it as something that was actually not joyous, but it wasn't this condemnation dark record. It wasn't like I view like The Cure's Pornography or something as like a super dark record for them.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear it. So in my mind, it was sort of aligned in that sense with that mentality. I ended up releasing it and it felt really beautiful to like release it finally and to let go of that part of what I was holding on to.
Gotcha.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Warning. Not listening to Fascination Street podcast may cause unexpected side effects. Side effects may include sudden fits of boredom, irrational curiosity about everything you missed, the inability to name your favorite podcast interview, spontaneous ignorance of obscure celebrity stories, talking to coworkers about nothing because you didn't hear the latest episode. Other symptoms may include excessive use of the phrase, wait, what happened? Chronic seriousness with no trace of laughter or delight, unexplainable urge to scroll aimlessly instead of being entertained. In rare cases, not listening may lead to wandering aimlessly through podcast apps, overexposure to true crime reruns, and thinking you're cooler than you actually are. If you find yourself experiencing any of these symptoms, stop what you're doing immediately and download Fascination Street Podcast. Ask your podcaster if Fascination Street Podcast is right for you. Spoiler alert, it is.
Let's get back into it.
This new album, this is your 7th solo album, is called Super Consciousness. It came out right around mid-March of this year.
Yeah.
But you recorded this album, is this right? Between 2022 and 2025? It really took you 2 years?
Yeah. I started writing around 2022, and then I started recording, but in 2023, I was also out on the road with BIAS for their record Cool It Down. Like, I've played in that band since 2006.
20 years. Wow. Congrats again.
Yeah. 20 years.
That's wild, right? You're like, holy shit, 20 years.
It's insane. I know, when I think about this, it's like, I can't even believe that like 20 years has passed. Yeah, so I was on tour, and as it is on tour, I've always been a person who writes a lot on tour because it's like something about being in this state of delirium and not knowing where you are really at any time. And then it's like music is complete solace to me during that time, where you're like, you're not attached to anything really or anyone, and like you're sort of away from the people that you love. So I spend a lot of time like writing on tour. So a lot of the songs originated during that time, and then I was coming home and kind of recording versions of them, really trying to figure out what it is that I wanted the sonic feel of the record to be. After that tour stopped, then it was like in and out of the studio until the record was completed. But then in 2025, the Altadena fires happened, and I was displaced by those fires. And yeah, that completely derailed the sort of arc of like how I was going to put the record out.
I can't even imagine it. I'm so sorry. That must have been just a god-awful tragedy for you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I didn't lose the house that I was living in. I'm not there anymore, but it took 8 or 9 months for it to be kind of habitable.
Wow.
It was shocking to me, like 9,000 houses, I think, or structures burned in 24 hours. And when I snuck back up there before the National Guard came in, because it basically left the house within 15 minutes of seeing the fires start. And there's only one road in, so could only grab pets. And I grabbed like one guitar. I didn't even grab clothes, passports, some cash. And it was like immediate just trauma. And then I snuck back up like a few days later because I didn't even know if the house was still standing, but it was insane. I've never seen anything like that. But so for me, this is like a miraculous record in that it actually was completed and exists. And there is that feeling in it for me of like joy. There's a joyousness coming out of all of this. That's like a huge fucking deal to like have created something that went through so many sort of passages of darkness and things that happened in my life in the last few years, and to have this thing that is really not even about me anymore.
So all of these passages of darkness that you have gone through before and leading up to and including the writing of this album and the recording of this album, how come you didn't go dark with this album? How come this album is full of light and hope? That would have been way easier.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just indulgent. I didn't really want to do that, Like, we don't need another thing like that in the world. Like, there's just already too much darkness being put at us.
Perpetrated on us. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, and I really feel the need to create something that lifts.
Do you think that this album qualifies as goth folk, or is that your previous catalog?
No, I love the term. I don't know. That term was it's like a genre coinage.
Sure. No, I love it. I think it's super descriptive,
yeah.
But I don't think that the goth part applies to this album. This is why I was asking.
Yeah. I think it's more like, in my mind, like the way that I roll in the world. I'm like goth, but I'm like folk, but I don't even know, like at the same time, none of those things. But yeah, it's a good sounding genre.
It is definitely a good sounding genre. I love that title. It's so descriptive. Everybody that is having you on their shows is playing Echoing. It's a beautiful song. I got it. I love it. It's a gorgeous song. That's not the one I'm going to ask you for.
Okay, cool.
Tell me about Weightless.
That's one of my favorites on the record.
It's my favorite song on this album.
Oh.
What does it mean to you?
So this is really about skirting the void.
That same void that was out in the black? That same void?
No, this is not the void of love. I think this is the time that we're in. The feeling of futility, the feeling of breaking under pressure, the feeling of...
powerlessness.
Yeah, powerlessness. Literally everything that we're going through as a world. This is about finding peace within yourself in that time and power within yourself in order to rise up and become that power. And I think the cool thing about that song is there's 3 dimensions that exist within the song, which is the kind of isolated folk feeling at the top of the song.
At the top, it almost sounds like flamenco-ish.
Yeah. Which is like my obsession with Leonard Cohen, like any kind of classical guitar.
Mm-hmm. That really comes through. You could tell.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with Songs of Love and Hate. That record is just maybe one of my top records ever.
I love the change when it goes from that sort of, like we're saying, flamenco style sort of a thing to the like gritty distortion, just like, wow, like that transition.
Yeah.
It lets you know that this song is going to have layers and you better pay attention. I really love that change. That's it. I really like that a lot.
Yeah. That song has all of my interests, like all of the sonic interests that I have are in that song. And the fact that it goes from that and then the layer of like the kind of headbanging, like primitive metal, proto-metal kind of idea, and then opening up into this beautiful psychedelic landscape where you're just floating, the chorus is really in that song. And then that whole sort of outro section, it's like heavy, but it's an entirely different planet, like a different world.
Agreed.
So this song to me, like really has like a lot of vision in it. Yeah, I'm like really, really proud of the way that came out.
You should be proud. That song is amazing. It's really, really good stuff. That said, can I play it?
Yes, please.
This is Weightless off of the 2026 album Super Consciousness by Imaad Wasif. Damn it.
Yeah.
But
It's all
by
right.
Imaad Wasif.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
It's not all good, dude. That's so disrespectful. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay, man. It's like I've been called, like my phone thinks my name is I'm Sad, so you're doing better than that.
Projecting gray, I am alone. As a soldier alive in stasis, I'm thrown into a tailspin that I can't override, tracing the patterns of an old honeycomb. The queen is dead, I am weightless. Orion's belt cradles me like a grave. I'm shadowing a genesis that I can't name. Only the lonely know why my eyes are blank. Find me sailing in the void, and this pressure that I feel. Stop the drifting of the wheel. What is holding me enthralled? Got me climbing through the walls. Can I foil the master plan? Here in the death glow of man. What's that you say? I am on fire. Oh, the things we notice when it's dire. And all we've left to do is fantasize about the burning bridge and ungodly suicides. Find me sailing in the void, and this pressure that I feel. Stop the drifting of the wheel. What is holding me enthralled? Got me climbing through the walls. Can I foil the master plan? Here in the death glow of man.
So you said your dad's still alive. Has he gotten to hear this new album? Does he care about your music? Does he like your music?
He's come around to it, but his hearing's not so much anymore. So yeah.
Is that true, or is he just telling you that so you don't make him listen to more of your stuff?
No, I'm pretty sure it's true, but yeah.
How has your writing style changed since becoming a father? I think your son's 12, right?
hmm Actually, fatherhood has not penetrated into that realm for me.
Really?
Yeah, I keep thinking that that's going to influence me, but I realize that that part of me is such a sacred space that I'm not willing to let anything into it, really. It's like if I do, then I feel that I'm gonna lose that part of myself.
Yeah, that part is just for you, right?
Yeah.
This part is for me.
Yeah.
You can have all the other parts. Everybody can have all these other parts, but this part, this one, this is me. This is my thing.
I mean, I share my process with him, and he's
Sure.
also becoming a musician now, but he's much more into classical music. But
Classical music, like,
classical music from all countries. But yeah, he plays cello. So
oh, okay, that kind of classical music. All right, wow. Oh, cool.
yeah, but it's interesting because it's like I guess the one thing I've done is that I work around him and he sees me working, and I think that that's a really good thing for him to be able to witness.
Did you get to see your dad do any of that?
No, I mean, my father would sing, but he wasn't a musician by profession. So, I was aware of him being a vocalist, and he would sing, but he would keep it sort of very much to himself.
Gotcha. Well, I think it's cool that you're sharing that part of you with your son. Growing up with a dad who was a musician, it was enlightening to get to see this other side of him that wouldn't necessarily see as just my dad, So I think that's a really cool thing that you're doing for him. He's going to think about that for the rest of his life. Are you still mad at Kurt Cobain?
I still feel I feel plagued by Kurt Cobain.
Plagued?
Plagued, not plagued.
Oh, plagued.
Yeah, no. It's like, I mean, I don't know whatever. It's like this kind of like lifelong like thing of like, in many ways, I wish I had not experienced him in the way that I did, when I was young. It created this immense shadow over me that I feel like it took me years to actually get out from under. But I can't really enjoy that music, even though it's so powerful to me.
Maybe that's why you can't enjoy it, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Like it's too powerful. It takes you back to that space that it was so hard to get out of.
Yeah.
This new album, again, Super Consciousness, your 7th solo album. Are there any plans to tour this album?
They're bubbling up. We're at a point where I want to tour this record as a 5-piece band, and that's just become extremely financially difficult for an artist like me. So, hoping to be able to do that, and there is, interest coming in for that. I'm very honored for you to reach out to me to want to do this, because this is really how the independent artist can spread their music, in the world. And there's just so much white noise right now. There's so much noise.
So much.
That for anyone to give me the time of day about my music and to spend an hour with me talking about it is like a huge deal to me. So I appreciate that.
Oh, 100% my pleasure. I mean, back in the olden days, we would go to the record store or, like your friends, they would hand you records.
Yeah.
And say, hey, check this out. We don't really do that anymore.
Right.
And so I feel like, this kind of thing is almost the only place where you can find things that that your friends aren't listening to. You can be the one to bring it to your friends.
Right.
Likewise, thank you for doing this. Where can people go to find out more about you and what you're up to, and if there will be some shows?
I'm just trying to limit the amount of social media stuff that I'm actually involved in. So any kind of updates is coming through Instagram. That's just like the only thing that I can actually bear dealing with.
Sure.
That's going to be it. And like the record, I have like a limited edition of like the vinyl that I have available only through Bandcamp. So I'm still just very much independent that way.
So Instagram and Bandcamp is where we can find you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's streaming everywhere for whatever, for people.
Absolutely. Everybody, if you could check it out on Spotify and all the other places, it's everywhere, but definitely go buy it. If they go to Bandcamp, can they buy, do you sell MP3s?
But yeah, it's like there's individual tracks that are for sale.
But can you get the whole album? Without buying the vinyl, can you just get the whole album as an MP3?
You can get the whole album, a digital album, and I also have included, I think it's like 7 demos for the record that are only available through Bandcamp. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. One of the things that I've noticed that artists, particularly indie artists, aren't doing is offering MP3s. And I think that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Because everybody, like, let's just say I hate Spotify.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to listen to one song 4 million times for you to be able to buy a coffee. What if I just gave you the $10, $12, whatever it is,
Right.
and then I can listen, you know what I mean? Like, plus, I mean, you knew growing up in the desert, bro, if you're driving across this country, there's a lot of the time you're not going to have service.
Right.
But if you have it like on your phone, like downloaded because you bought the MP3, you can listen to it whenever you want.
Right.
That's one of the things I like about that. So I think I'm glad that you're doing that. A lot of people are missing out on that. And I think it's making a comeback
Yeah.
because people want to own their stuff.
Yeah.
They're tired of renting everything all of the time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, really. I know.
Well, let's see if I can do this. Imaad Wasif.
Imaad Wasif.
Darn it. Okay. Imaad Wasif.
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic singing, songwriting, and super consciousing schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
And also, I appreciate you being so kind to all of the ways I butchered your name. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, man. Well, you have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you later, bro.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Opening music is from the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Vin. Closing music is from the song Kosh, written, performed, and provided with the blessings of Kosh Mojo himself. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts. All episodes are available ad-free at patreon.com/Fascination Street Podcast. And don't forget to follow the show on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. And again, thanks for listening.